The safety and well-being of children is our top concern, and by
Plainly
statute-
not. Plainly, it is not your top concern because you have managed to lose 85,000 of them. And the Times knows where they are, or 2/3 of them, and they're with labor traffickers. It's unbelievable. Let me just ask you this. How many kids right now, of the 430,000 approximately, unaccompanied children have crossed the border under this administration? It's an astounding number. How many are you in regular contact with right now? Respectfully, I would like you to do your job and not release children to human traffickers. Respectfully, that's what I would like. I'd like you not facilitate the largest child trafficking ring in American history. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome, cartel members, Anons, Facebook friends, Twitter followers, random YouTube viewer, BitChute viewer, TikToker, Redditor, GLPer, 4chaner, and anybody else that might be watching. Thanks for joining me. My name is Julio. I am the Theorizing Theorist. So, where do I begin? Now, I'm very disappointed in a lot of you demon rats, some of you, my friends and family. You know, you claim to be anti-Trump because, you know, he's this big racist and he did all this stuff against, you know, illegal immigrants. And in reality, he did more for the humanitarian efforts down at the border than any other president ever, right? He brought more judges in. Pardon the voice, it's a little cold out here, so I'm a little raspy, but he brought a bunch of judges down here, down to El Paso, and thousands of judges, I do believe, or at least hundreds, to help speed up the processing of the bottleneck that the Democrats have created long ago. And I want everyone to recall a time where Donald Trump supposedly lost track of nearly 1,500 immigrant children. Now, I do believe all of them were found, and if they weren't found, it was, you know, it's a sad story. Even 500 kids, right? 500 kids. And as you can see here, parents of 545 children still not found 3 years after Trump's separation policy. Now that's in 2020. So we know out of those 1,500, 545 have still not been found. And oddly enough, in 2021, of course, June 8th, 2021, when did Biden take control, right? So coincidentally enough, the U.S. identifies 3,900 children separated at border under Trump. Now, that's just separated under border, not lost or anything like that. But then you get to 2023. Hearing wrap-up, ORR director fails to answer questions about 85,000 lost, unaccompanied children. Now, if that doesn't gross you out, now, we've been telling you guys how they're doing it, right? We've been telling you guys that the CPS can be involved, the Department of Homeland Security can be involved, and the foster care system is being abused by these people that are in power. They promote their sick friends, and they tell their sick friends, do me this favor or do me that favor, and whatever the case may be, right? It almost 85,000 is a lot of kids, people. It's a lot of kids. How do you shuffle 85,000 kids throughout the United States without completely fucking up the educational system is totally beyond me. Like, I get that we have this massive influx, but unaccompanied and lost, right? So, like, if 85,000 came in unaccompanied and they went into the school systems, in other words, what I'm trying to get is all these kids are being hidden. They're not going to families, kumbaya, couldn't have kids, and they're just, maybe the government's helping them out, getting, two gay parents kids because they can't get approved for whatever reasons. I'm telling you, this is the people that get these children. Why? Because a lot of these sickos that are not, gay or whatnot or lesbian and I'm not saying all of them, of course not, but there are an elite group of people in the United States that are doing this stuff. And if you want to say, oh, he's a crazy conspiracy theorist, he's a lunatic. I mean, I'm friends with Megan Walsh, who is John Walsh's daughter, and go tell her it's ludicrous how CPS can steal your children, and how the government and how the cops and the FBI and all the NC National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which was created by Walsh and his, I think, assistant director is a Podesta, Tony Podesta, who is affiliated with John Podesta, who was the what was he to Hillary Clinton? I can't remember right now. Maybe an advisor or anyway, doesn't matter. Point being is 87,000 children or 85,000 children is a lot of children to go missing, and for nobody on the demon rat side to bat an eye. And we're depending on the Republicans, who you guys said were the racists, to care about these children. That's all I got. I'm gonna let you watch the rest of this beat down for this hearing. And with that said, I'm gonna bow with my typical, and as always, to God be the glory.
Senator Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Marcos, can I just start with you? You testified a moment ago to Senator Butler that every child gets a Know Your Rights presentation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Is that before or after you release them to labor traffickers?
Senator, every child that comes into our care gets a Know Your Rights presentation, as well as...
Have you read these New York Times reports, these stories, the series of stories the New York Times has done on the children who are in your care? Have you read them?
Yes, I have.
Have you read that children are scrubbing dishes, they are operating heavy machinery, they are delivering meals, they are harvesting coffee, they are working construction, they are working as housekeepers, they are working overnight shifts at plants where they are not paid, they are not going to school, they are not cared for, they are not giving meals, almost all of it illegally. Are you aware of that? That's a yes or no.
Yes.
Do the Know Your Rights presentation help them in those situations?
Senator ORR...
That's a yes or no, I think. Do you really think that you're helping these children by releasing them to labor traffickers and, yes, sex traffickers? 85,000 children whom you have no contact with, and your answer is, we gave them a presentation before we turned them over to these people who are exploiting them on a scale not seen in this country for 100 years, a century. A century. It's a disgrace in the United States of America. Let me ask you this. You did an audit, I noticed, where you gave yourself a clean bill of health. So just tell me this. Do you require sponsors to document their relationship with the child?
Senator, we have a thorough vetting process.
Do you require sponsors to document their relationship with the child?
Yes, we go through
No, you do not. You do not. Have you read the Senate's Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations reports on your office? There was one in 2016, there was one in 2018, there was one in 2020, there was one in 2022, spanning administrations. What they found is you do not require sponsors to document their relationship with the child. You release them anyway. What about background checks? Do you require background checks on all adults in the household?
In cases where the child is being released to their parents, we do not require background checks. But Senator, I would
Do you
really
require
like,
background checks on all adults in the household in any case?
Yes, in some cases we do.
What percentage of cases do you do background checks on the adults in the household?
I don't have that number in front of me.
Do you do home visits in all cases? You can actually see where these children are being released, whose care you're putting them in?
We do not do home visits in all cases. Senator, I'd really like the opportunity to talk about what we are doing.
I know what you're doing, and it's incredibly and totally inadequate. And we can read about it in the New York Times. Since you say you've read it, let's talk a little bit about that New York Times report if we could. Here's a quote from the April 17th installment. Again and again, veteran government staffers and outside contractors told HHS, including reports that reached the secretary, that children appeared to be at risk. Did you warn the secretary that children were at risk?
Senator, I'm in regular contact with the secretary. And
Did you warn him that children were at risk?
Safety and well-being of children is our top priority.
Did you warn him that children were at risk?
I'm not going to get into the conversations I've had.
You're
with the
here and you're under
secretary.
oath, and this is an oversight hearing. And we need to know what you're doing, because you're manifestly not doing your job. Did you warn him that children were at risk? Do you believe that children are at risk? Let's start with that.
Yes.
Okay, did you warn the secretary?
Senator, I'm not going to get into the specifics of my conversation, but I would like the opportunity
Why
to
wouldn't
talk
you
about-
warn?